Meeting of February 19, 2013 will now come to order. We will be led by an invocation by Pastor Kelly Tipton, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner O'Brien. Thank you.
All right. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunity we have to represent you well. And Lord, just as we are discussing matters of importance, Father, I pray that we will have the wisdom and the discernment to make the right decisions, Lord. We just ask for your peace to be in this room throughout. And we thank you again for your love. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Brien. Good morning, gentlemen. Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, seconded by Commissioner O'Brien. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving right on, there are no proclamations, no minutes. Informational items, gentlemen, anything? Moving on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I need to pull item G to abstain.
Item G, golf.
Yes.
Anything further?
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
Move to approve G?
No,
we
the B?
No.
B.
No, everything but G.
Everything but G. Follow along, it just gets go right through. Thank you, Commissioner Solari. Motion by Commissioner O'Brien, seconded by Commissioner Flesher. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Commissioner Davis, you pulled item G golf.
Yes, I need to abstain from that. There's potential of a business associate might be a part of that auction services.
So you'll be abstaining and filing the appropriate paperwork.
Move to approve staff recommendation for item 8G.
Second. Motion by Commissioner O'Brien, seconded by Commissioner Flesher. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
4-0.
4-0.
Yeah.
Oh, with the abstention.
Yes, with Commissioner Davis abstaining.
Yes.
Moving right along to constitutional officers and governmental agencies, the Indian River County Sheriff's Office, Darrell Law, the application for the Victims of Crime Act VOCA grant, letter dated February 6, 2013, found on pages 85 through 111.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Davis, seconded by Commissioner Flesher. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to the Indian River County Soil and Water Conservation District, David Gunter, regarding a staff position. No backup. Good morning, Mr. Gunter.
Good morning, Commissioner.
You walk in a very timely manner.
Well, I'm here to beg for a position to replace Brenda Davis, who was the administrative assistant for the Soil and Water Conservation District Board of Supervisors. I think the Board of Supervisors has spoken with most of you concerning this. For us to take a grant and try to go through all of that, I think it's a duplication of efforts and costs that's easier handled by the county, and I'm just here to request that. I spoke with Joe about it, and we have dealt with the issues that he had, and I'm sure this is going to be if it is approved, it'll take us a while to find someone who's suitable. So it's not something that's going to happen tomorrow. But that's what I'm here to request.
Mr. Chairman.
And I will answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes, this has come forward as a formal, as a recommendation by the Ag Advisory Committee, so I'll being the liaison to that, I'll go ahead and move to grant the approval. It's a budgeted item. And of all the issues that we had with the other two positions that were similar to this, staff has indicated, or specifically Mr. Baird has indicated, that this is the least dangerous of all. And as far as the situation we got into with the Housing Authority. So therefore, I'll go ahead and move to approve the
Second.
request.
That's
And
commotion.
just under discussion, just, David, this is just a clerical position, right? Just
Yes.
more following the paperwork and reports and...
Filing the paperwork, keeping track of our files, dealing with the minutes from the meetings, handling the interaction with what used to be community development, or
Yeah, and I think to your
the
point,
state
Commissioner Davis, is that
concerning,
the position
our-
doesn't have a lot of authority to get into trouble. It's just more kind of clerical position, so.
I had a question, Mr. Gunner. You said
Yes.
it was easier to have the county pay for it than to actually try to go get grants?
well, you know, the problem with grant funding, if you try to hire somebody that it takes a couple of years for them to get up to speed, and if your grant funding runs out, then, they're off hunting new employment, and it's a duplication. The audit is handled through the county audit, and it's just her position, or whoever's position that's under audit. And whereas if it's through a grant, then we have to generate our own audit, and that would be more than the cost of the
No, the
grant.
cost factor.
And I think really where the thoughts about the grant, Commissioner Solari, has come across is basically, if you recollect, we had kind of tried to go two different paths. One is to grant them the funding and then do their own thing, and versus an actual grant position of a grant writer or somebody to fund that position. That was really where I think whenever all this blew up, that was the direction that we were trying to go with all of them. And then we finally did wean ourselves of those other two positions, and this one was one of those that we were talking about, just granting the funding to and then letting them have their own autonomy with that funding source. So I think that's where more of the discussion about the grant came from, not necessarily having somebody there just to go write grants.
Okay, so then let me ask Mr. Barrett. So you have, in a couple of the others, the big issue was the idea that we had these people on the county financial statements. So you either don't have or do have a particular problem with the Soil and Water Conservation
Well,
District?
let me say, David Gunner brought one thing that I had not thought of and I should have thought of, is the fact that they get soil water pass-through grants, and they would have to hire their own auditor, and then, like he said, if he has to do it, our auditor already covers it under our agreement. And if he has to, it'll cost him probably $25,000 to $30,000 additional, and he'll have to pass on to the taxpayer. So, looking at that, and that position also, he was also concerned about having to have someone do the payroll. It's all in our system, it's all automated. So I had not thought about the audits part of it for his soil water, and where he says it would increase his cost substantially.
Okay, and I just have one other question. This is a special district, and not thinking about this year or next year, but is this the type of thing that needs to be a special district going forward, as opposed to just rolled into the county? It just seems like it's
By
maybe a
statute?
legacy of the past, and
Commissioner Solari, the statute allows soil and water conservation districts, through the passage of a referendum, to levy a ad valorem tax. But as we are all aware, the probability of such a referendum passing today is slim and none. And we don't want it, as supervisors, we don't want to build some kind of huge, we're interested in connecting the agricultural producers with the federal agencies that administer the Farm Bill, and do that in the least expensive method that we can come up with. We're here to just supply a service to the agricultural producers and not build some empire. I've got enough problems.
that's it, Mr. Chairman, for me. Thank you.
Joe, this is an existing budgeted position. There'll be
Yes.
no amendments to follow?
In fact, there is no amendments needed. The money's already in the budget totally, and ever since we started talking about it, they have not expended any funds. I think they're a total of $200 out of their budget for supplies, and that's all they've done.
Very conservative budget, and thank you, David.
Thank you very much.
You have a motion by Commissioner Davis, seconded by myself. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item, there are no public hearings. The public discussion item, a request to speak from Joe Wiggins regarding the repair of 11th Street Southwest, east of 9th Court Southwest, found on pages 112. Good morning, Mr. Wiggins.
And I came up here to find out about getting the end of 11th Street paved right where I live at. At first, the county was getting on me about the right-of-way in there. Mr. Netto, he donated 60 foot of right-of-way for the county, for the road. I only took up half of the road to be paved up into my yard because I didn't need the whole road. But now, with the different trucks, the FedEx, all these different trucks that come up in there, they done wore down the soil plus the rain and everything. And it's a big hump to go up on the road. I just tore up one car that I'm having to turn around and try to come up that hump because that's the way I get in and out my drive. And I went out to the county 2 or 3 times or more. And the only thing I ask is to bring out a couple of loads of dirt to bring that back up level. And I haven't been able to get that, and I was wanting to know why. I mean, it seemed like it's a simple thing to do, and I just can't seem to get it done. And I keep tearing up my vehicles from coming up the hump up on the road. And that's my problem. So they either need to build a turnaround or a cul-de-sac where you just can go around or bring the dirt. That's the only thing I was asking.
Thank you, Mr. Wiggins. See, Chris Moore has come on up to the podium.
Yes, Chris Moore, Public Works Director. Mr. Wiggins lives on the very east end of 11th Street Southwest, and as you can see on the screen, there is a road right-of-way that comes partially up the paved driveway, but then ends right at this point right here. And some of this is looking east towards his house. Some of the edge of pavement there has probably worn down from runoff, probably an inch or so along there. But the right-of-way line actually is about right here. So everything beyond that point where the arrow is there belongs to Mr. Wiggins and would be his responsibility. So we have not gone in there and done any kind of fill work or brought in any material because we just didn't feel that it was needed. The pavement there that you're looking at is about 1 lane wide. It's about 12 feet wide, and it's certainly enough to bring a vehicle in and out. So we have not done any more maintenance in there.
Mr. Moore, do you see any need or concern for the public roadway to be fortified?
No.
Joe, how come there's so many trucks coming down there tearing it up?
Well, first place, it's a lot of them come through there because they think it's a through road, first place. It's got a dead end sign there, but they come up in there anyway. That's the main reason we only had half of the road done, but to keep vehicles from thinking it was a straight through road. And as far as Mr. Morrow saying, that property line, it stopped way back here.
Up here.
It's a red stake there where it's been surveyed off,
The county
and the county did it.
Sure did.
So the rest of that is county
It's a
property.
county property.
Where I turn around at is on the county
It's
property.
on the county property.
Joe, you were pointing, but the wrong slide was up, or we couldn't see where you were pointing. Can you point to?
Where the road stopped right here, all the way up to here, that's the county property. What happened, we didn't need the whole 60 feet to be paid. We just asked for a little part, which they give us. We went out to the county 2 or 3 times, I know twice in 2 years, to ask for dirt here and here. If you look at the picture.
We can't see where you're pointing. Forgive me.
Oh, okay.
Trying to see if we can.
Right in here. This here is torn up, rolled down. You never brought dirt in it since it been put in, since the road been put in. On the side where we back in at, that is, okay, good. Thank you. All the way up to here is the county property. They pave it right here. This county property. Over in here, the county property come all the way to here. Now, when they first put this road in, they was say they were gonna fill this in, you know, fill the side of it in, which they haven't as of yet. And we went up there 2 or 3 times out to the county, and they make promises, and the promises never been fulfilled. Now, if somebody take time and get from behind the desk and go out there and look, they'll see exactly what we're talking about. The guy at the county said he came out there, but he was thinking that the county didn't own what we were saying they do, and which they do, because he seen the red stakes out there where the county had staked it off. But the only thing we asking for is dirt be put in. He promised us, he said he was going to do it. That's been over 2 years ago. As of yet, nothing been did. They make promises and nothing be fulfilled. That's all we asking for.
Mr. Moore, are you aware of any discussion regarding the fill?
What was the guy's name?
Terry.
Terry. We talked with Terry 2 or 3
I've talked
times.
with Terry.
No, I believe they've met with Terry Cook, our road and bridge superintendent. And, you know, the line right here is the end of the county right-of-way, which is about halfway through that dirt turnaround area that you see there on the north side. Anything east of that line belongs to Mr. Wiggins.
Well, that wasn't what we were told when y'all did the paving.
Well, I think
they start right at the end of the paving, this which is the county, and you come all the way across over here, and all that is the county. It's 60 feet in there. Mr. Nettle give 30, and Mr. Russ give 30 feet. So all of that is y'all property, and this is where y'all pave it to y'all line right here. And this is where you stop. Now here is ours. From here back is ours on, but from here back is y'all's.
Yeah, the paving. I'm sorry, go ahead.
If that's the case, what you saying, I own a whole lot more property than what I'm
Than what we're
clearing.
getting clearing then. It's what, if you go by what you're saying. Because when they did the paving and everything was approved, y'all's property line stopped here. That's here. Okay, on the side of that, you got 30 feet of on each side of that property there. Okay, when you came in and did the road, you supposed to have, we was promised that you was gonna bring some dirt to fill this in. You promised that you're going to bring some dirt to fill this in. The promise has never been fulfilled. So with one of my cars, my Lincoln, by backing that up in there, turning around, and when you go to pull out, it drags the front of your car.
Hey, Chris,
And
one thing I
Terry
think
came out, he
on the slide, if you go back to the overhead, I think the overlay lines are not lined up right. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, see where their pool is? Their pool's going into the lot behind them, which probably it doesn't. That if you took the yellow boundary lines, it probably is shifted back some.
Now,
I mean, after seeing the pool.
those lines are, to the best of our knowledge, those lines are the property lines.
Well,
Do you own those lots where your pool is?
That's our house.
yeah, that's our house.
That's
No,
the
but
back
the
of our
lots
house.
to the,
You see where your pool's on that, inside that other line?
Yeah, but no, that's the Mannings. We the Mannings.
If that's the case, my pool would be in Arthur's.
That's what I think Commissioner Zork's trying
Yeah.
to bring up, and that very well may be the case, or, like you're saying, everything could be shifted back to the south.
But excuse me.
And Chris, it wouldn't surprise me in looking at that. I don't know why necessarily the lot to the, what is that, I'm going to say the east or north, whatever it is. Anyhow, the lot that way is not lined up with the lot this way.
And the gentleman
Just throwing that out.
he came out and looked and seen, you know, that the county do own it.
Mr. Chairman, I just have one question, is if this question's, the problem so far, it seems to be that you can't turn around well on that road.
No, we have to back up right here with the white part, right here.
My question is, why don't you turn around on your own property?
Well, if that's the case, I'm gonna still have that same problem. See, because
that's the
when I back up into my garage, my shed, that's how I managed to do that. And I turn around right here just before I get to my house. Other than that, I mean,
even if you do it here, it's the same thing.
If you want to get technical, I mean, I could put up a fence there or whatever. That way, I don't have to even worry about it because won't nobody mess up my property.
We're okay with that.
Mr. Morris, Mr. Wiggins supplied a recent survey of his property.
No, he hasn't.
Or do we have anything on record?
No, these are meets and bounds. These are not platted lots in here. These are meets and bounds properties, so we don't have, what we have is exactly what you're looking at right there as far as the property lines.
To move this off center is if it's county property, it needs to have Phil put on the shoulders, we ought to put Phil on the shoulders. If it's not, then it's the Wiggins' responsibility.
It's
So
the county.
it's-
60
I
feet,
mean,
all the way up to where.
Well, we have hundreds and hundreds of situations like this throughout the county where a county right-of-way is stubbed out and may serve one or two properties that we do not maintain because they serve so few properties. We could go in and put in fill up to that yellow line there, but that's not gonna fill it all the way up to the end of that pavement.
Only thing I'm asking is to bring it up to where the county marked off. Where the county put their stakes.
Their stakes is up in here. They come right up.
That's the
right
only
up in
thing.
here.
The stakes that were there when the pavement was put down was to
No, y'all came out and staked it again.
was to instruct the contractor how far to take the pavement. And he put a 12-foot lane in up to the where you see there.
I recall Mr. Wiggins asking us to go a little further here, and we did,
That's
onto his
exactly
property, to pave it. And we've done that, and now we've created another, he asked us to do that, because if I recall, didn't he ask us to go a little further? He came in and asked us when we were paving that.
That's right.
And we did, now you're saying, well, since you went a little further,
no, that
Then you go a little more.
you go more, and it's private property, so you really have, it's not the county's responsibility, unfortunately.
Even if you come where you say the line stop here, okay, you still got all of this right here drop off. This is like a drop off.
No, the drop-off actually starts in here. If you look at the area where the grass is, it's fairly even.
They mow all the way up to here. They mow all the way up to here. When they mow here and they mow here, because that's as far as the grass go. They mow all the way here and they mow all the way up to here and back down 11th Street.
Again, they're probably doing that because they're there and they don't want to stop right in the line to have you to come out to mow that small patch. We can draw the line deeply, and Chris, if you'll go out there again and just ensure that the roadway integrity on the county side is not being violated or eroded upon, and I think we accomplished something today. I don't believe that we should be moving on to the Wiggins property.
But it's where they have the
Chris,
stakes.
you'd be happy to do that?
Yeah, actually, I was out there yesterday and looked at it, and the drop-off on the county side of it is fine. It's not a
We was out yesterday.
significant.
I think what is in dispute is where the county's line is and where it's not. And as far as the county doing work on private property, whether the road's been extended down through there as a courtesy in the past, I don't think the taxpayers have any business doing that.
Right.
But if there is a drop-off on the side of a road that the county is right-of-way, I think we're spending a whole lot of time worrying about a few dollars that go ahead and take care of this. So my advice is go down there is to find the corners, determine where that is, and if it is in fact where you're talking about,
drop a little dirt.
Then don't drop anything to the right of that. Yeah. But if there's a shoulder that needs to be filled, do it to the north, and let's move on with this. You need that in the form of a motion? So moved.
Second. And I guess the only thing I'd add, Chris, if we are going to run some dirt out there, if the Wiggins would like to cost share for their portion, we'd be glad to cooperate with them and something like that.
We'd be happy to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, we don't normally take motions on public discussion items. I think we have a consensus, and I believe that Mr. Morrow will be looking to address any voids or erosion that's on the county side of the property.
Go a little further.
Thank you, Mr. Wiggins.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Moving on to departmental matters, the community development, the condemnation, demolition, and removal of unsafe structures, memorandum dated February 4th, 2013, found on pages 113 through 127. Good morning, Bob. Jose?
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman. Jose Guanch, Indian River Building Division Director. This morning we bring before you a couple of structures that are unsafe structures. The two addresses are 625 40th Avenue and 1705 45th Avenue. The pictures you're looking at right now are 625 40th Avenue. These structures have been found to be dangerous to life, health, and the safety of the public due to deterioration and lack of maintenance. On this property at 625, for your knowledge, we did a ownership and encumbrance report back on 8/1/12. No encumbrances were noted. On 10/15/12, it was posted as unsafe. On 10/15/12, the owners were notified via certified mail. And basically, the assessed value of this property is about $28,750. The property taxes are current on this property. On the next property, which is 1705 45th Avenue, this property, we have a petition signed by 68 neighbors that want this, definitely want this demolition or pro-demolition of this property or this structure. On this property there, we did an ownership and encumbrance report back on 10/15/12, and encumbrances were noted. There are two code enforcement fines which are running concurrently. One began on 8/25/12 at $100 a day. The other one began on 12/22/12 at $100 a day. In today's dollars, the accrued fines are approximately about $17,000. It was posted unsafe 10/16/12. The owners are notified on 10/19/12 via certified mail. The assessed value of this property is $43,770, and the property taxes are current on this property. It's important to note that a lien will be recorded and placed on the real properties for the purpose of recovering the demolition costs. So it is staff's recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners approve the demolition of these two structures. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Jose.
Commissioner Salk?
When your department goes through the lengthy process of doing these, when the lien amount is calculated, how does your department get compensated for all the man hours that you put in on these, or do you just?
We do. We do account for the man hours, for the sending an inspector out to do the inspection, for the building official going out if he has to go out. So that gets calculated. I don't have those figures for you, but it does get calculated, and the whole process is run through the county attorney's office.
Okay, so you do get sort of reimbursed when the liens are paid, or if they're paid in the future, and might get some of that back for them.
Some of it we do get reimbursed for, yes.
You are an enterprise fund, you're not subsidized by tax dollars, and that's why it's...
That is correct, yes.
You're operated differently.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Anything further?
Just, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to this, or?
Please, most certainly.
Pay it out of general fund. Pay them out of the general fund. Pay them out of general fund, I think.
My name is Mary McDevitt. I didn't plan to speak today. I'm here in regards to this property, 1705 45th Avenue. I live next door, and it's been years. This started where we would call just to have them mow the property. And we had a hard time getting them to do that. And then over the years, the house has just been getting worse and worse, and now the roof is actually falling in on itself. Our problem in the neighborhood, mine personally, is I can sit in my yard and watch animals crawl in and out of the roof. My dog's been bitten. The windows are not boarded up. There are a lot of ladies who live alone right in that general area. How can we sit outside at night knowing that we're going to be okay and nobody's coming and going? This property is in Tropicana, which is not far from Walmart, where I've never been back there, but there's a homeless camp back there, and we do have a lot of those folks passing through the neighborhood, coming and going. So it's a safety issue, not to mention the fact that the house is falling in on itself. Okay.
So you're one of the petitioners in favor of the demolition?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. And it's just become a major problem in the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak regarding this matter? Please come forward, sir. Welcome.
Maybe save the gentleman time. I'll go ahead and move staff recommendation.
Second.
Commissioner Zoric, I'd like to make clarification. We reimburse from the MSTU.
Okay.
We pay the building department right away, and as the revenue comes in, it comes into the MSTU taxing district. So they get paid because they're an enterprise.
The lien doesn't get satisfied later. Okay, great, thanks.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Dave Ruiz. I live across from the property. I live at 1745th Avenue. And please forgive me, I've got a cold. I'm not used to kind of like speaking in this environment here. I agree with Mrs. McDermott and all the petitioners that this house should be demolished. And I feel I'm not comfortable right now, but I just want to speak for the other petitioners, and some people are working, and the house should be destroyed.
Well, if approved and posted demolition, you'll probably feel a lot more comfortable.
And the house needs to be gone.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your input.
Thank you.
I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Bryant, seconded by Commissioner Flesher. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is a review of the INEOS New Planet Bioenergy LLC's ad valorem tax exemption annual report, memorandum dated February 7, 2013, found on pages 128 through 147. Good morning, Mr. Bowling and Mr. Keating.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. For the record, I'm Stan Bowling, County Planning Director. The INEOS biofuel project is the first and at this point in time only economic development tax exemption project that we have in the county. And I'd like to just go through a few items. The INEOS has filed their first required annual report to give us an update on how they're doing in meeting the economic development parameters that were in their application, and this is just staff's opportunity to present that to you. The project itself is located at the southwest corner of Oslo Road and 74th Avenue Southwest, and it is zoned industrial. This is an aerial from April 2012. The facility was still under construction. You can see kind of the northern portion of the site is where the actual plant itself is. Lots of equipment, some building and site improvements. A lot of the southern end of the property is where they have stockpiles of material that will be run through the plant. There's also a connection to our county landfill through the southern end of the site. Just running through a few of the time frame elements, just to recap. In the spring and summer of 2010, INEOS coordinated with staff on a local jobs grant and the tax abatement incentives, and they actually obtained from the board approval of a local jobs grant. And then in September of 2010, they obtained project site plan approval. From March through November of 2011, they submitted tax abatement application materials that was complete in November. And then in December of 2011, at a public hearing, the Board of County Commissioners approved their tax abatement application and for the exemption to start this year, 2013, the first tax year, of all the new improvements. Along with that approval, there was an ordinance adopted by the board specifically for INEOS and an agreement between the county and INEOS. In March of 2012, they reported 41 full-time employees at the plant. In June of 2012, 49 full-time employees. September, 53 full-time employees. And in December, 56 full-time employees. And then just last month, in January, they obtained their certificate of occupancy for the plant site work and associated improvements. They're still currently going through the production process to bring the plant fully up. And they have filed their first tax abatement annual report, and that is attached to the staff report for this meeting. Just quickly, I wanted to show you the kind of a quick comparison of what was in their 2011 application with what their actual performance is as of the end of the fourth quarter of 2012. In their application, they predicted 53 full-time jobs, and there's actually 56 at this point in time. The average annual wage just shy of $59,000 in the application, and very comparable to what the actual average wage is. I will point out that, again, we're using an average wage figure, but all 56 of the jobs that they have are over the county average annual wage, and 30 of those 56 jobs exceed 150% of the average annual wage. So there's a good distribution of good wages there. They remain a target industry, which they got points for. And essentially, the number of points they scored in their application in 2011, their actual performance would score the same. Staff's recommendation is that the Board of County Commissioners find that INEOS New Planet Bioenergy is currently in compliance with its ad valorem tax exemption requirements. And before March 1st of this year, we anticipate that INEOS will be filing their official form so they can get that economic development tax exemption for the 2013 tax year. I'd be glad to try to answer any questions that you might have.
Gentlemen?
Just a comment, and it's not in the presentation here, but on your backup, Commissioners, page 146 is a 10-year timeline of the estimated amount of property taxes abated, property taxes paid to the county. And then what really strikes me is most important is the amount of property taxes paid to the school district and hospital district and mosquito control and all the other taxing districts. Based on that 10-year projection after the end of 10 years, just under $1 million of general fund taxes would have been abated or not collected. In that same time period, though, they're going to end up paying $234,000 to the general fund, and then over $2 million to the school district and the other taxing entities. And I think this is the beauty of the tax abatement program is it only applies to the county's general fund, and all these other districts, the hospital, the schools, they all benefit by having this employer come in here and paying taxes. So I just wanted to point that out because it's a huge impact to those other districts and a very minimal hit to the general fund. So I think this is a great example of how that tax abatement program works. And with that, I'll go ahead and move staff recommendation to find them that they are in compliance with their tax abatement application.
Commissioner Davis?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner O'Brien, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to the Public Works project update, memorandum dated February 12, 2013, found on pages 148. Good morning, Mr. Morrow.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, Chris Morrow, Public Works Director. Staff was asked to put together a brief presentation on all of the projects. Right now we have a lot of projects going on, more than we have had in recent memory, and there are a wide variety of projects. This is a list of all the projects we either have under construction or that we expect to have under construction during the 12-13 fiscal year. If we take a little bit closer look at some of them, one of our more active projects is the 66th Avenue corridor, the section between 4th Street and 16th Street, which is a paving project. They're paving a 2-lane road with turn lanes and constructing a bridge over the main relief canal. Looking at an aerial, this is the path of 66th Avenue that's been cleared and utilities are being relocated. And this is looking north from 4th Street, which is, if you're coming from the south from Oslo Road, that's where the paving stops on 66th Avenue. So that paving will be extended north. You can see 8th Street up here at the top. And then continuing north up to 12th Street. And you see the new retention ponds that we have along the west side of the road there. This is just north of the Beatty property. And then continuing north from 12th Street, there's another drainage pond on the west side. And then there's the new bridge going in over the main relief canal. These aerials are probably about a month and a half old, so they've made a lot more progress on that bridge now. There's some of the particulars. It's being done by Gettler Brothers, who's from this region, this area, Fort Pierce actually. Project is about 50% completed. We expect it to be done late this year, this calendar year. Total project construction cost is $7.5 million. The next project, which has just gotten underway, if we move north of State Road 60 on 66th Avenue, that's the 4-laning of 66th. This project, like I mentioned, has just gotten underway a couple of weeks ago. They've started some clearing. This is looking south along the west side of 66th Avenue from 45th Street looking south. That's the Gamma Delta property where they're starting to clear. And there's also a pond going on about midway in that block. There's some of the project details. Since it's just started, there's not much that's been completed, but that's a large ticket project, $20.8 million, with all of the 5 bridges and traffic signals and paving and clearing that needs to be done. That's Dickerson of Florida. They're also a local contractor from this area. Oslo Road, 58th to 43rd. That's another 4-laning project that's very active. Tim Rose Contracting has this project. These are photos from some of the clearing and utility relocation that's been going on. There's some utility poles being moved there closer to 58th Avenue. Again, Timothy Rose Contracting has this project, local contractor. It's about 40% done. We also expect this project to be done late this year, this calendar year, that is. Another project that was done in-house by our County Road and Bridge Division was the resurfacing of Oslo Road between 82nd and 74th, very close to the INEOS plant. And that project is now completed. We've had a soft opening. We haven't removed all the barricades yet because INEOS is still doing some turn lane work associated with their Oslo Road entrance. So we've left many of the barricades in place so that they can complete their turn lanes. They're being done at the same time that our resurfacing project's being done.
How much longer until that road gets opened back up?
It's actually open now. You can make it through there. We'll probably need about another week or so until INEOS finishes up, but we're kind of waiting for them.
So it's open now, but you can't drive it?
You can drive it. You can get through. We haven't removed all the barricades. Coming south on 82nd, it'll still say that the road is closed. Okay. Because we're trying to discourage traffic from taking that. Okay. But very soon we'll be taking all the barricades down. It'll be fully open.
Okay. All right. So what you're saying, the signage isn't down, but the obstacles to travel are.
You can actually make it through there.
Kind of like limited access now.
I got you.
Another project that was just completed is the resurfacing of 27th Avenue from Oslo Road up to State Road 60. That was done by Ranger Construction. That's now been completed just within the last couple of weeks. Indian River Boulevard resurfacing, that has just been completed as well. That was a mill and resurface job. These are some photos taken from just a couple of weeks ago on that project. There's a paving machine and the crew's laying out the new striping. That actually came out very well. That project was done within about a week and a half. The good thing about that is it was primarily grant funded. That was a small county outreach program grant that we received through the DOT and they covered a little over 60% of the $800,000 repaving cost. 53rd Street, which the county completed last year, east of US 1, that construction is continuing as the new Publix shopping center is taking shape. We have a new traffic signal going in there at their entrance, which is 24th Avenue. That signal was designed in-house by Traffic Engineering Division staff. You can see there the new Publix and the new mast arm with the steel base pole traffic signal. All of the mast arms are in place now. The illuminated street name signs and cameras are all wired in. They've been pulled up through the pull boxes, and we've got the control box in place. So this, you can see on the right side there, that electric service is in place. So we have electricity, it's all ready to go. What we're waiting for is as soon as Publix gets to the point where their driveway is finished, and they're very, very close to a soft opening, what we'll go ahead and do is activate the signal into a flashing mode, and then the day that they open, we'll turn it on and have it run red, yellow, green actuated. So it's all set to go.
How, we got fiber connected in that?
Yes, we do.
And what kind of coordination do you plan on having? I would imagine with the intersection there so close to the, I don't know that it ever back up to the railroad tracks, but you clearly...
No, we'll coordinate it with the US 1 and Old Dixie intersections on 53rd, which are already in a coordinated system. We'll have to coordinate this one. It will defer to US 1 for the majority of the timing at 53rd, but when it does go green for 53rd Street at US 1 and at Old Dixie, we'll have this light changing to green for 53rd to keep them all in coordination so the traffic doesn't back up across the tracks or to the east to block this entrance.
Just, Commissioner Davis, for your information, Representative Gail Harrell has filed I think it's House Bill 355, which would require the Florida DOT to develop rules to allow local governments to tap into their unused fiber.
Good.
In their traffic lines. So.
Good.
Moving on, we also have the Pine Tree Park subdivision paving. That was, you recently saw the second resolution in a series of petition paving resolutions for that. That was originally going to be a much larger project. The residents have since scaled it down to just do 7th Place, about a half a mile of 7th Place. And we should be getting started on that within the next 30 days. So we're all set to go with that one. Vero Lake Estates subdivision paving. Staff attended a meeting last night with the MSTU Advisory Board. It actually went very well. They were able to get to us a very detailed list and a priority list of roadways within Vero Lake Estates that they want to have done. So there were some significant changes, so we're going to have to go back and do a cost analysis of all those. But they do seem to be within budget, and they'll be deciding that as an advisory board, and then we'll be bringing it before this board for a final decision on the petition paving process. Another project that's been designed and we'll be going to bid for later this year is a resurfacing project on 512 eastbound, Roseland to Easy Street in Sebastian. There's also a number of FDOT projects that are going on. You all know about I-95 between Fort Pierce and Vero. And we've been involved in all of these projects because as the maintaining agency for the traffic signals, and because these roads are in our county, we have an interface with DOT on the design. We also have a sidewalk project underway on Old Dixie Highway. We've got a new sidewalk going in along the east side of Old Dixie between from A Street north to 20th Street.
Hey, Chris, on the US 1 project there, were you able to get a hold of the guys in charge of mowing down there?
Yes, we did. That's normally that is done by their maintenance contractor, Jorgensen. However, now that it's under construction, they've handed it over to the contractor. So there was a little communication problem there, but we've notified them and they're going to go ahead and mow that.
Okay, good. Thank you.
If the public wants to keep track of these road and sidewalk projects, we've got a link on the county website under the quick links column on the right, if you look at the road closure construction map and click on that, it'll bring up a map of all of the construction projects in the county. And if you look over on the right side and click on any of these active links, it'll give you a description of the project. We try to keep this as up to date as we can.
Is that updated on a weekly basis?
Every time we either add a new project or close out a project, we'll go ahead and update the construction map.
That's a super addition.
There's another number of other projects that are also going on. The Coastal Division, in the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy, has issued a number of emergency dune stabilization permits. We've got 31 of them out there. To date, about 80,000 cubic yards of sand have been brought in to stabilize the dune drop-offs. We've also completed work on the county beach parks that were affected by Hurricane Sandy. Seagrape Trail, Tracking Station, Wabasso Beach, and Golden Sands have all been completed. Most of those were dune stabilization with sand being brought in, but some, like Tracking Station, if you look at Tracking Station Beach Park, you can see in that before photo, which was just prior to the restoration, just after Sandy, prior to the restoration, you can see the crosswalk, boardwalk area there was destroyed, and the ladder leading up to the lifeguard stand was destroyed. The after photo, after repairs were done, it looks in much better shape. That was in December of last year. Back down on the beach area, the berm area, this is again at Tracking Station. You can see here that the bottom struts of the boardwalk are exposed. And then after we brought in the sand to stabilize the dune drop-off and the structures, it looks much better. We have similar situations at Seagrape and Golden Sands and Wabasso Beach.
And hopefully you'll be busier at the beach as soon as there's further discussion at the state level.
Right. If we can get state funding, then we're going to be looking to replenish those areas of Sector 3 that were damaged by Sandy as well.
Our letter of request was well received, gentlemen, by all of our legislators, and it's in firm discussion as we speak.
Moving on to the new multi-purpose fields at South County Regional Park. This project is also underway. They've cleared and graded much of the new field areas. These are 4 new multi-purpose fields to be used for lacrosse, soccer, youth football.
Chris, how's the organizational structure with that coming? Or Mr. Baird?
We've been having some. Go ahead.
Yeah, we've been having some discussion with the lacrosse to try and get them to have one umbrella like we had with the Indian River Soccer Association. We prefer to have one umbrella countywide on those kind of things, they're trying to get there's actually 4 different lacrosse groups together. But talking to the gentleman from Kimley Horn,
Derek Cave.
Derek Cave, he thinks he's got a group together with sufficient funds to carry him for a year, and he's supposed to get back with me in the next 30 days.
Okay.
We've also been moving along with the design. We have an architect chosen, and we're moving along with the design for the intergenerational building that will also be located at South County Regional Park. We've been working on the crime scene evidence storage facility. This is the former Sun Sky property that was purchased by the county for use by the sheriff as a new crime scene evidence storage building. We've been working with the jail staff and corrections on, we've cleared out the area north of the jail and south of the Sun Sky property. That's been cleared now. I've also got a project with them on the jail fire alarm, which needs to be refurbished. Also got at the shooting range, the skeet and trap facility has been advertised for RFQ. We'll be reviewing submittals on that project as soon as they come in. At Egret Marsh in the Stormwater Division, we've recently completed repairs to the old mat or membrane on the flowway. And you can see here we chose concrete. All of the concrete has now been poured. This is looking east along the distribution pipes. And it's a rather large 4-acre mat of concrete that's been poured. It's all been cleaned up now. That's looking north back towards the pipes, the headworks. And about 2 weeks ago, we reactivated all the pumps, so they're pumping water over the new concrete flowway now. And you can see there, we've already gotten strands of algae that are starting to form and grow and attach themselves to the concrete pad. So it's worked out very well. And that's some of the brown algae. When this algae first comes in, it's brown. As we go through one harvesting cycle, it will start to change to green. You'll get the nice phosphorescent green color algae. So it's working exactly like we thought it would. It's grabbing onto the concrete very easily, and we're looking forward to starting to harvest and see what kind of product we get.
Looks great.
Continuing on, we've just about finished. Actually, we expect to be finished yesterday with the design for the PC South, Pollution Control South relief canal that we're doing in conjunction with utilities. That's moving right along. Staff's portion of the design is just about finished. We still have some structural and electrical engineering work to get in from the subs. Once we get that, we'll fold it into the bid package and go ahead and bid that project. And the stormwater video, that was completed, and that's now on the government channel. So we've got that going. Other projects that we're active in right now, staff has been working on the Go Line Transit Hub as far as looking at temporary and permanent locations for that. The admin buildings, admin A and B, the roof redesign, we just received 10 submittal packages for the design and contractual services for the re-roofing of these 2 buildings. We've got a selection committee together. We'll be reviewing those packages and convening very shortly. And finally, on 510 and US 1, we had a bit of really good news on that last week, in that the DOT reversed their decision, and they're going to let the county purchase all of the right-of-way as we normally would, and not require us to go through the Federal Uniform Act. So that's been a good
Chris,
thing.
did you actually see that email?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good.
I have it, and I'm going to distribute it to everyone.
I think it was rumored?
Yeah, well, I had told it that it was done, and I just hadn't seen it from anybody, and so I'm thinking to myself, uh-oh.
Yeah, it came from Jim Wolf, their District 4 Secretary. So.
Okay, good.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Just real quick, Chris, a couple things on that. My mom called me this morning about the 66th Avenue project, and she said she knows she's going to get questions about, she thought that, we were tight on money, how are we able to afford this stuff. Can you just elaborate, basically, especially the roads, of, A, are we financing any of it, where the funds originated, and are we going to owe any money on them when we're done?
No, these are all fully funded projects, either through gas tax, impact fees, or 1-cent optional sales tax. Now, there is a large portion of the project north of 60 that's funded by grants. But no, we won't owe any money after construction.
I figured I'd mention that because...
Yeah, none of our projects, even roads, the sheriff storage, we all pay cash. We are not borrowing for this.
And that's based predominantly on sources of revenue other than any ad valorem taxes.
That's correct.
Yeah, we try not to use ad valorem taxes on any project over about $500,000. So the majority of our projects are funded through the infrastructure tax, impact fees, and gas tax.
And they're paid for.
Chris, on the generational facility, the indoor basketball courts at the South County, where is that at in the design site again?
The architect is working on the design. We had to take some time to try and find a facility that was existing out there that we could visit and that matched what we thought that we wanted. We did find one in Winter Park that was very close. The only problem with that facility, it had a lot of ancillary activities going on the site that we didn't necessarily need. We may want to master plan the site so we can get some of these things in the future, but right now we just want to do the building. And the core of that building is, of course, the gymnasium with the wood floor and the 4 basketball hoops, and some office space. So we're trying to get the architect to design that particular building that fits within our budget, and that perhaps in the future we can add these other ancillary activities too, like
What would
playground.
be would it have 2 courts inside, or you said 4, but are those half courts or full courts, or?
They'd be 2 half courts and then one full court. Well, I'm sorry, actually 2 full courts, but yeah.
Okay, because I was approached by the coach of, there's a traveling basketball team that's actually based out of Vero, and they compete competitively all around the state, but they can't ever play any tournaments here because there's no place for them to play. So I'm hoping, pardon me?
The fairgrounds.
For basketball?
Huh?
Yes,
Absolutely.
fairgrounds.
We move cattle out of there and you can play basketball the next day.
We bring a floor right in?
Actually, the cattle play basketball, don't they?
I think
Not well, but-
I think the big problem, I think the big problem with that is our rec leagues use it and he can't get in, because in basketball season, our rec leagues use our fairgrounds, and probably as a private group, he can't get in due to the scheduling, and that's probably the situation. That's why we need to build another facility.
So this facility would also be potentially available for groups or entities that would want to host it? Because they travel Pensacola, Atlanta, Miami, Key West, Jacksonville, but they never can play at home where the coach lives, which is kind of ironic.
Right, this would be available for them.
Okay, great. I'll let them know.
The lacrosse has the same problem. That's why we're doing this. And we're hearing it with baseball leagues. We're dealing with a group, Mike is right now, where they're actually out of Vero Beach, but they play in St. Lucie County because they've got nowhere to play. So they don't have any place they could play, and we're trying to work to make it more available for them and schedule it better, and maybe have them maintain the fields and bring tournaments also, bring tourism as well.
And Commissioner Zork, I don't know when their season is for the traveling team. I'm sure they do have a season.
Right.
If they get in, we don't know that there's a conflict right now.
Right.
So the thing to do is probably contact Mike Zito and just let him know that
okay.
This is the season. What do we have available here?
Great, thanks. Oh, not to stretch things out, but on the DOT project, 66 to 58th, roughly, the south side, the drainage and sidewalk improvements, it seems to me that's the first time I've seen DOT improvement areas where they, recycled the guardrail, portions of it. So when you look at it, part of them they put it back in. I thought, oh, we're going to get nice new guardrail, but it's the dinged up, rusted, smashed up stuff that they took out. So it looks unusual for a project that they would put some of the pieces back in that were kind of questionable. Some of them were probably fine, but some of them that are up, just looks like they stretched the reuse a little bit too far. And also seemed to be the first time that I've seen them incorporate asphalt sidewalks versus concrete sidewalks. And I didn't know when they propose a project, if we have the chance to comment on those things.
We do, and they do run the design plans by us, and we do get a chance to comment on them. I don't know that we would necessarily tell them to choose to upgrade from asphalt sidewalks to concrete. That's, since it's their right-of-way, they can put an asphalt sidewalk in there, and they do occasionally do that. It's actually an easier, cheaper way to build sidewalk. But as far as the guardrail goes, they leave that to the contractor, and if the contractor, when he pulls the old guardrail, and there's a lot more guardrail with this new project, so you'll see primarily new sections. But if he can find a section that's basically straight, when he unbolts it, he can reuse it. It's at his discretion as long as it's not bent up.
Right.
But I would agree with you. I'd much prefer to see brand new, but again,
Well, just some of the stuff they put back in is pretty dinged up. It may have been straight, depending on which direction you're looking at, but it does have some dings in it. But thanks.
Anything further? No. Mr. Moore, thank you for that presentation. It's rather refreshing to know just how many projects are actually happening here concurrently in the county. You can see it as you drive about, but the list is quite extensive. Appreciate the postings on the internet as well, on the county website. And thank you again for fitting in all the other constituent concerns in between all of these projects as well.
Thank you. Okay.
Trust I speak for our county commission. Anything further, gentlemen?
Just a lot of good things going on. Good
Yes.
job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the utility services, work order number 5, professional services to Kimberly Horn and Associates Incorporated for acid tank replacement for the South RO water treatment plan. Memorandum dated February 8, 2013, found on pages 149 through 158.
Move staff recommendation.
Second. Motion by Commissioner O'Brien, seconded by Commissioner Flesher. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is work order number 5 from Moya Bowles, Vilmazar and Associates, MBV, South County RO facility storage and piping tank modification, memorandum dated February 1st, 2013, found on pages 154 through 159.
Move staff recommendation.
Second. That's a motion on the floor by Commissioner O'Brien, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Burke.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to remove item 13A because I just don't want to have to deal with it.
Yeah, I'd love to second that one. I think that would probably go unanimous consent. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate that. We'll move right along to 13B. I wish it was that easy. Thank you for the noble gesture. Unfortunately, we'll have to turn this over to the county attorney to discuss his annual renewal of county attorney's employment agreement, memorandum dated February 13th, 2013, unfortunately found on pages 160 through 164. Counselor.
Mr. Chairman, there are two parts to this agenda item, as you know. First part is I work for this commission pursuant to an annual contract. My existing annual contract will expire this Friday, February 22, 2013. So if you want me to continue working after that date, then we'll need to renew the existing annual contract. So I have in your package a proposed renewal contract. It's exactly the same as the existing contract with the sole exception of the dates. So the first item as we go through this will be whether you choose to renew that contract.
Gentlemen?
So moved.
Second. Motion on the floor by Commissioner Davis, seconded by Commissioner Flesher. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That was the easy part?
That's the easy for me anyways. Second part is, under the existing contract and the new contract, as we have discussed in the past, there is a 30-day termination notice in either party, such that either party can terminate the contract upon 30 days notice. I, in my memo, have given officially my notice to terminate the contract, effective sometime this summer, and I choose that date really just to make sure that replacement staff and any other staff necessary is in place and up to speed. Otherwise, I'm completely flexible on when that date might be. And I might add also that our assistant county attorney will be going on maternity leave approximately April 1. So in some way, we'll either have to cover her services or again, I'm perfectly happy to stay until she's able to return. But ultimately, I am resigning the position. Certainly was not my first choice. It was not my intent when I came here. But as I've discussed with all of you, things did change, and therefore we really could not reconcile priorities going forward with really the demands of this job. This is a very demanding job, and for me to come to work every day and try to do that job properly just was not consistent with our intent going forward. So I'm going ahead and tendering my resignation effective, as I say, this summer.
Mr. Chairman, with great reluctance, move to accept Mr. Plackwich's resignation effective at some mutually convenient date in the late summer.
Commissioner O'Brien, I'll be seconding that with discussion. Gentlemen, anything?
Hey, it's, I guess now's not the time to say it probably, but the work product that we've been getting out of our legal department has just been absolutely a breath of fresh air. And just the quick turnaround time on questions and the responses is it's going to be nice until the middle of summer anyhow, and hopefully we can keep it up after that.
Just the one thing I'd ask, Alan, you and I talked a little bit about a time sequence, when to start a search and how to proceed. If you could, in the next couple of meetings or so, come back with your recommendation to the board on when and how you think we should proceed, I think that'd be helpful, because I think it'll be here before we know it, and it might take us a couple of 3 months to do a good search, so we just want to get that started here, I think, sooner than later.
I personally think you ought to go ahead and authorize the search effort to begin sometime in the first, say, 10 days of March. Go ahead, publish a notice, and we can come up with an actual schedule. But I am flexible at my end, so I think rather than delay things and suddenly find ourselves in a squeeze at the other end, we can move sooner. And as I say, if everything falls into place sooner, that's fine. I am flexible on my timing.
And after this motion is approved, we'll most certainly be happy to entertain a motion to move that forward. I understand your concerns, Counselor, and you want to be here as much as possible for that transition and to bring whomever is going to be sitting in your seat up to speed. And it may take a little longer than you anticipate, and I know that you want to see the summer come by quickly, but we don't. And you've had a tremendous impact in our county government from onset, from your negotiations of your lack of contract to an undemanding contract, and sustaining all the demands and making some great changes here in county government. You've been a tremendous asset, and I did state that it was bittersweet. It was only bittersweet because you have discussed the reasons why, and they're all positive for you, and they're all positive for us as well, because you're leaving a great legacy. And we'll have another discussion when that time comes. But to know that you're leaving for all good reasons and not seeking other ground or seeking a different environment, or the environment was not what you anticipated, that's refreshing. And it's not often that you find someone be able to make the decision that you're making for the reasons that you're making. Thank you, Alan, for all of your impact here.
I'm hoping that by resigning, I don't have to cut my hair off in 2 weeks.
No,
Can I get out of that?
I did not hear that as part of the discussion. You've been a profound impact on the St. Paul Drix Foundation, and we hope that you'll be able to follow through that commitment. I understand there's no amendment to that about the beard.
They're not touching my beard.
They're not touching the beard.
You got to draw the line somewhere.
That was the deal going in.
I'll entertain any other discussion that'll avoid the ultimate vote here, but
I'll let him shave my beard.
With that, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner O'Brien, seconded by myself. Any further discussion, gentlemen?
No.
Shall we say all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alan? The motion carried unanimously, but with great reluctance. There was discussion about moving forward for a possible selection process. Alan has expressed a fond interest in having that move forward as quickly as possible, as he would like to assist this commission in any way, shape, or form in selecting the best appropriate choice and the best modality for that appropriate choice. I believe that it probably is the best time to move forward to direct staff in
So
some
moved.
manner. So that's a motion by Commissioner Davis,
Second.
seconded by myself. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Is there anything you'd like to add to county staff's direction? Hearing none?
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. It's a little bit emotional, but...
Oh, I see, okay.
Alan, you did it.
Here we go.
Next item on the agenda is the resolution delegating to the county administrator or designee the authority to execute standard cash deposits and escrow agreements relating to Chapter 934, excavating and mining of the Code of Indian River County, memorandum dated February 13, 2013, found on pages 165 through 177.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion by Commissioner Davis, seconded by Commissioner Solari. Any further discussion? Councilor, do you have anything to add?
Bill DeBraw on behalf of the County Attorney's Office. I know that the parties are anxious to get this matter moving forward, so Mr. Chairman, if we could ask your indulgence to sign this matter, because the parties are ready to start work tomorrow moving the dirt from the new public site to the 66th Avenue site.
Thank you.
That's all.
On motion by Commissioner Davis, seconded by Commissioner Solari. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Additional item for county attorney matters is the encroachment agreement with Florida Gas Transmission Company for Oslo Road Customer Convenience Center, memorandum dated February 11, 2013, found on pages 178 through 192.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Solari, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? Council, anything to add?
No, sir.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Great presentation, Bill.
Thank you very much.
Item number 14, D Delta, is Commissioner Bob Solari, Saving the Lagoon, Alternatives to Lawns, memorandum dated February 13, 2013, found on pages 193. Commissioner Solari.
Move to approve.
Thank you very much.
I second that.
Don't we have a break now or something?
Oh, no, it's the end of the presentation, I see. Commissioner Solari, support by your peers.
Appreciate that. I always get that nice warm feeling. At the recent Harbor Branch Lagoon Symposium, near the end of the symposium, some people asked if there weren't some solutions to help getting the lagoon to better health. And I brought up one which I thought was very easy for anybody to participate, and that is basically getting rid of your lawn. And this is a picture of our side yard in January of 2012. And you can see the grass there, which used to be mowed and fertilized regularly. And now we got rid of the lawn back about just over a year ago. This is what it looks like in February 2013, just beginning the planting process. This planting process will be finished probably in about a year. And there's just one more picture.
Where'd you hire that good-looking model from?
Yeah, that's neat.
You guys are just jealous as heck. That happens to be my wonderful wife, Jackie. This is, I have Jackie and I had 3 pieces of yard. This is the second piece, which we've been calling the meadow for some reason. And there's grass there, obviously. Another picture of the grass in the meadow. And this is the way the meadow looks now. Obviously, the grass has been killed. No longer any reason to fertilize it. And the replanting process of that will probably begin slowly and probably finish up in about March of 2014. We have one piece of grass remaining. This is obviously the front yards of it, and the goal is to get this taken care of in about a year. But notice right in front of Jackie is an outlet for stormwater. And interestingly, when I moved into the house, there was no outlet for stormwater. And this is an example of actually the government sort of causing the problem, or at least the fertilizer problem, into the lagoon while it was trying to solve another problem. And not just one of those things which happen and sort of law of unintended consequences. We are in a race, though. That's a battery-powered mower where the deck of it's rusting out and the battery's starting to go. When we first got this mower, would do all 3 sections of the yard. Now it can barely do the front portion of the yard. And so if that mower goes, it won't be replaced. So we may have to get rid of that grass a little sooner than thought. But I put down the last bag of fertilizer that I'll ever put down on this yard. And if people get rid of their yard, there just won't be that need for fertilizer. I will put some fertilizer in potted plants and a couple sections of flowering plants, but it's so far from the road and that stormwater drain that you will never, I just can't imagine any fertilizer ever contributing to the problem in the lagoon. The great thing about this is that people have individual control over it. They can move at their own pace, and they can get a win-win situation. You're not only, a yard like mine when it's finished will need a lot less water, so you conserve water. You have no need of fertilizer, so you won't be damaging the lagoon, and you won't need the lawn mower, and so Jackie won't have to mow the lawn anymore, which she's appreciative of, and at the end of the day, it'll be a lot friendlier towards wildlife. So it's all win-win-win. Well, and the last picture, vote yes for lower electric bills. Oh yeah, there is that March 12th referendum coming up in the city of Vero Beach, and we'll just remind everybody that the Board of County Commissioners did pass a resolution in favor of that, and do hope that if, for all those concerned with economic development in Indian River County, that they do vote yes for lower electric bills. Scott, thank you very much.
Commissioner Solari, I just want to bring you back a slide or two there. That's Jackie Solari pushing the lawnmower, and you've made a couple of remarks regarding Jackie Solari mowing the lawn.
Oh, absolutely. When we negotiated the marriage contract, she picked the house, but in picking the house, part of the deal was she mowed the yard. So, that was just original negotiations going back some 25 years.
Well,
and she has, I can say very honorably, stuck up with her part of the bargain.
And did that transfer to raking the stones now and all the rest?
Actually, I do the stones and I do the real heavy lifting, but she does the yard. I've mowed about, well, the period when she had cancer I had to mow, shucks, but other than that, I've mowed about 10 times in the last 25 years.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're picking up the pace and going to be working on the lack of lawn.
Well, yes, so she does free up Jackie for more time, with other activities she enjoys.
I believe they still have the program in place, too. You can get a certified Florida lawn. That you might be getting close to that.
Actually, there's a firefighter in Station 2, Dustin Hawking, who's got a special birding place at his yard, which is certified. And I'm going to talk to him about that.
And if your lawnmower doesn't quite make it until you finish up that little last green strip, let me know. I've got something that takes care of grass that produces compost and methane at the same time.
But I would like two things if I could. One is, it turns out in looking at this that the health department actually evidently says you have to sod over your drain field. Mm-hmm. So I'd like it if we can have somebody, probably from Bob Keating's staff, just send a very friendly letter suggesting to the health department that they look for alternatives. And I do know that the health department actually has a piece in their overall plan that they're supposed to look for ways to improve the health of the lagoon. So this is consistent with, if we send that letter to them, it's consistent with that, and it may just get them thinking about alternatives. I mean, I'm nothing coercive in the least little bit, just a friendly reminder that it's possible, and this may be to help people do the right thing. The second thing is, it also turns out that our public works, or in our code, there are a lot of things about grass and sod, especially on slopes of places, which I'm not hoping to change, but I'd just like us, if we could, send a sort of consensus message to the Public Works Department to just be open to any viable alternatives, and not just, reflexively say, put the sod down. So if they can think of alternatives, or somebody comes up with alternatives, at least keep an open mind and be friendly towards that.
Like they did the last time they brought black pipe before us or something. Remember that HDPE pipe? Open. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Commissioner Solari.
And I'll be happy to bring this slide back in about a year to show you the progress of the yard.
Thank you.
How do you import the fragrance of a freshly cut lawn?
Oh,
that's a smell that my kids really
That is another great idea about Bob's Lawns. Whenever he has kids that come down and visit, he can tell them to go play in the grass and the neighbors. So smart. I mean, just brilliant, Bob.
Thank you, Commissioner Solari.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next item on the agenda is the Solid Waste Disposal District approval for the minutes for December 4th, December 18th, and January 8th.
For the minutes of December 4th, December 18th, and January 8th.
Motion by Commissioner Solari, seconded by me. Seconded by me, which is Commissioner O'Brien. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The release of retainage and final pay for Mansell's Tractor Service Incorporated for Customer Convenience Center paving improvements, bid number 2012047, memorandum dated February 11, 2013, found on pages 194 through 198.
Moved.
Motion by Commissioner Solari, seconded by Commissioner Davis. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to special districts and boards. The Solid Waste Disposal District, final pay to MBV Engineering Incorporated for work order number 3 for Customer Convenience Center paving improvements, memorandum dated February 11, 2013, found on pages 199 through 200.
Move staff recommendation.
Motion by Commissioner Bryan, seconded by Commissioner Fleischer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Gentlemen, we've completed our agenda. I see Mr. David Jackson here. Mr. David Jackson, can I ask you to come to the podium for a moment? Mr. David Jackson is from Congressman Bill Posey's office, and I believe that there's some exciting news and very timely since it's 10:25 and there's a 10:30 event to take place. Mr. Jackson.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you very much for this opportunity to announce at 10:30 we're having an open house for the Congressman's new satellite office here in Vero Beach, right next door. You go out the front doors here, make a right, and it's the first door on your right, 10:30 to 12:30. The Congressman should be on his way, as a matter of fact. And we'll have cookies and tea, so please come out. We thank you very much for using this wonderful office space. The county's been outstanding, I mean, terrific with this. Facilities, Mr. Baird, really wonderful. It's a great space. We love it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Yes.
As far as some visibility, I don't know whether as popularity grows and people start to understand where it is so they don't walk around aimlessly, I don't know whether a sandwich board or some signage out front, something along those lines to make it so that people, as they're coming, they might not be coming here specifically for that, but just want to pop their head in there and talk to the congressman or the congressman's staff. So I think that would be appropriate.
I'm sure we can get some printing on the glass as well, some vinyl application and a sandwich sign.
And also, of course, whenever they click on our website looking for specific agencies here, if we could add that perhaps to our website.
Okay.
I'll be over for a cookie.
Great.
Well, we're all very excited, Mr. Jackson. It's not too often that you can have a congressman as a friend, a neighbor, and a tenant at the same time. So we're looking forward to a great community partnership, and speaking on behalf of 140,000 citizens, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, thank you. You're all welcome.
With
Everyone
that,
here is welcome as well. Thank you.
any further? Meeting adjourned.